Bow, bow, bow. Put me on a respirator as you fuck me violently. Stick the shampoo bottle up my ass and go. anyway, anyways, again, this is just for you specifically, but I'm gonna post it to YouTube because I got no one else to upload this shit. This is another book update, dude. I'm really into this right now. I am like I literally want to take the book and just physically insert it in my rectum. So here's the latest, and this is basically carrying off from the last book thing that I did. I found some old stuff, or not old stuff, but stuff that hadn't been currently incorporated, and I'm really, really liking what I'm finding. Potential, as far as like storage, because what happened was when everything was compiled, and I mean, I'm only half done, so I'm not totally done. So I may even take stuff out, but I ended up with like only 160 pages. Now I know before you had talked about doing less, like under less than 200, but I'll be honest with you, if I can do like a trilogy of 300 books, that's like almost 1,000 pages. That's like War and Peace kind of shit. I, I mean, the idea that I'm writing War and Peace, you understand what I'm saying? No, obviously it's in 3 things, but I don't know, if I can get like 3 books on my shelf that are over 300 pages long, I'll feel like I've done something. So I'm not saying I'm going to get 300, because the 2 things that I found are like less than a page, so it ain't helping me out on that end. But I wanted to pad it because as I'm going through it, I felt the beginning was a little lax, and I felt the end was a little lax, and I found basically the prelude, the prologue, whatever you want to call it, prelude, prologue, whatever. And then I found the last chapter. Now the prologue, I want to tell my near-death experience story, which I actually have one written out. I didn't realize I had it. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to listen to the clips and maybe bulk it up a little bit, make it a page or 2. But I think that would be a fucking phenomenal way to start the freaking book. You have the prologue of the near-death experience, and then it instantly goes into like the very first chapter. The very first story is Dale T getting slain in the spirit at the church, and it would be a prologue, technically, to the old woman dying, because near-death experience, and she actually does die. I think it would just be a really good way to do that. So I'm going to read through that, listen to the clips and shit, and cause I did like a whole series of clips on the near-death experience that I had as a child. So I don't know, because I don't know exactly what I have written, because I just found the page today and I haven't actually gone through it, and I'm really tired. And I need to let the stupid tablet recharge, but whatever. So I think I'm going to do that. And then the final story, I'm going to do part 1, and it's going to end with part 1. It's going to be called Where Did My Life Go Wrong? Because you got to keep in mind, after all this, you basically have to understand, 2005 was a fucking rape to me. It was a legitimate fucking rape. A girl I'd been communing with for 5+ years, whatever it was. She dumps me 3 days before Christmas to go marry a fucking Jewish dentist with last name Stifle. And then 2 weeks later, my mother dies. A few months later in the summer, one of my favorite wrestlers, Eddie Guerrero, died. And then around November that year, my favorite rock band fucking retired. So like 2005 was just a fucking dick punch. I mean, it was just a straight fucking dick punch. I mean, you can't compile that much fucking retardation in one fucking year. I mean, you just can't. So I wanted to end with that particular story. That has nothing to do. Whatever. The story, I already have a story written, which is other stuff, but maybe I'll even talk about that, where it's like everything went wrong, almost like a synopsis of what the book is about, because that's basically what it is. The old woman dies, Sarah leaves, the whole nine. And then in book 3, I want to do part 1 or part 2 of the Where Did My Life Go Wrong, and be the prelude. And I want to tell a story of when I was a kid and I fell in the septic tank and fell into the shitter. So I want to start on book 3 automatically falling into the shitter. I think the transition between, dude, I have got this thing worked out to like the fucking nth degree. I mean, that's why I'm doing these clips, so in case like I die, you get an idea of what I was thinking when I was putting it all together. But this is going to be really interesting. I do think it needs a little more in the beginning, because I want to do like one more family story, like at the beginning. I want that heartfelt kind of, we're all together, we're not perfect, but it is what it is, and then all of a sudden, boom, because you gotta understand the way right now, the way it's set up, and of course I haven't put the prologue in, and I haven't put the end chapter in. But the way it's set up right now, it starts off with basic family stuff, just, oh, isn't that sweet? And then I meet a girl online, and it's just wonderful, everything's good, the family's good, we're all just kind of doing our own stupid bullshit, and blah, blah, blah. And then the girl leaves, and then the old woman dies, and then there's the funeral, and there's all this bullshit, and then it's gonna go into the whole thing with the first Christmas without the old woman, and blah, blah, blah. And then you're like in this forlorn state of bullshit, and it's going to end with the chapter, Where Did My Life Go Wrong, part 1, which then, when you go into book 3, is going to be Where Did My Life Go Wrong, part 2, and it's going to go back to a flashback that I had as a child, where I fell into the fucking septic tank, the open fucking sewer system. Dude, I can't make this shit up. I mean, do you understand how fucked up my life is? I don't get out of bed half the days, okay? Like right now, I sat at my chair for maybe an hour today at the desk. I haven't sat in the desk for fucking a year. Well, maybe not that long, but it's been a good 8 months. All of a sudden, right now, my fucking hip, I bruised it somehow. I bruised the ass. I bruised my ass. And it's just, I can't stand up. I'm rubbing my ass, and like, it's not good. Like, there's something wrong. Like, I fucked up. And all I did was just sit there. I was sitting in a fucking chair, and I ruined myself. And it's like, I can't make this stuff up. I can't make any of this stuff up. I wish, when I look back at my book, I said, yeah, that was just crazy shit that I made up. No, this shit just happens to a man who doesn't even get out of fucking bed on a daily basis. There are days I don't get out of bed. None. I don't. Yet this weird, crazy shit seems to flock to me, and it's just, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I really don't. But I really, seriously, if this plays out the way I plan it to, the way I want it to, now, well-laid plans up my well-laid ass, but that's neither here nor there. I think this could actually be very cool. Especially when you put it all together. Like, if you were to read, because I'll be honest with you, to me there was a couple spots in book 1 that were just a little boring. Like, I wasn't really infatuated with the Ollie stories as much. Maybe a little bit, a couple here or there, or a couple moments in each one, but I thought they were a little dull. You know, it had its highs and its lows. Or I try to want to cut some of that, especially the lows. But I don't know. I feel this book needs to be padded out just a little bit more in a couple areas. And luckily, I found some stuff that I could actually use. Like I said, the transition from one moment to the next, it really works. From what I'm now, keep in mind, I'm reading a little bit here or there as I'm like correcting it and like moving stuff around and shit. So I'm not really reading it to read it, but as I'm reading it, doing all that other stuff, it seems to really go fairly good. Now, I could go back and read it and be like, this is fucking garbage, but I don't know. I really like it. Now, would the average consumer get half of the stuff? Probably not. It's like one of those things where it's like you really think you're all devious and shit. Like, oh, I have this little plan and I have this little thing and nobody's gonna know about it. And it's like nobody cares. That's kind of the problem. Like, oh, I said this and nobody really picked up on what it meant and blah blah blah. It's just like I said, nobody cares. Only me. But honestly, I do think I think it's going very well. There's a couple places that are iffy. I still want to move Cruelty Beyond Simple Abuse. I want to move that down a little bit, move that down a couple notches. I don't want that as number 2 story. And I don't really know. I may move the Pumpkin Farm story up, Cackleberry Castle story. I may move that one up. That actually might be decent. I almost wouldn't mind having the first story, Dale T getting slain in the spirit, the Cape Cod story, we're out in the water, and then the Pumpkin Farm be almost like back to back, 1, 2, 3. But I don't know, that to me those are like my 3 favorite family stories of this book 2. But I don't know, maybe they should be spread out a little bit, or have like one in between each one of them. I don't know. I'll have to look at that later and just see how it flows and see how it feels. But honestly, I really like where this is going. I mean, I don't get excited for anything. I mean, the closest thing to excitement I got was I ordered a pizza Saturday for the pay-per-view. That was about the excitement of my existence. And it was overpriced too, by the way. Holy shit. The idea, I spent $50 fucking dollars. Now, granted, it was one of the big 4 pay-per-views for WWE. It was SummerSlam. And I purposely, instead of just getting like a $20 sub, I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to save a couple bucks. We're going to get pizza and wings. I don't do pizza and wings as much as I'd like, because they're fucking expensive. And I thought, you know what, we're going to do pizza and wings. Fuck it. And I got the pizza, I got the wings, and I got an pasta. And you know what? I spent, dude, I gave them over $100 this month, and I don't feel guilty about that. I really don't. I honestly don't, because, well, to be fair, beginning of the month I didn't have any food because I wasn't going to the store for a couple days. So, beginning of the month I ordered out, and then twice during the month I ordered out, because what happened is I think I talked about this before, but I went to the store and all I bought was fucking sausage patties. So for like 10 days straight I had sausage patties. And I was like, fuck this, and I broke up like 2 days out of that 10 and said, shit, I'm gonna buy a sub. And that's exactly what I did. And then I still had the $50. I spent like $100. I ain't gonna lie. Now I can't be doing that all the time, obviously, but it was a special month. Like I said, it was pay-per-view month, one of the big 4, and it was just, I don't know. Anyways, I don't know why I was talking about that, but yeah, again, I like where this is headed. Because I've been racking my brain all afternoon thinking, what other stories can I fucking tell? Now, I was thinking maybe at the very beginning, or right at the very beginning of the middle. Actually, it'd be the end of the beginning section, because there's 3 sections. In the middle section is the death, burial, and resurrection bullshit. So I was thinking maybe at the end of part 1, I could do a chapter that is kind of just like made up of little stories. Like, I'd like to talk about my grandfather and the whole thing with wrestling, how he got me into it, and the whole just how that was. And I mean, he basically came over Comedy to TV, and that's kind of how he got me into it. So, I mean, there isn't much of a story. Well, there is a little bit, but, and I was thinking maybe having like a chapter with like sub chapters, and have like each part, like I could tell an old woman story, I could tell another Dale T story. There's always Dale T stories. I could tell a Gene story, I could tell a Graham story, I could tell like the whole fucking family, and do kind of just, I don't know, I was thinking that could maybe work, but I don't want it to get too drawn out, so I don't have to think about that. Now, one other thing I was contemplating is the burial section, the funeral section. I don't know if I like the title because it's just. I thought what best to do would be to quote Johnny Cash, like a Johnny Cash song, and of course, "There Ain't No Grave." You got to quote that, and of course, typo negatives, everything dies. Great quote for a funeral section. And I just don't know if I like that because of the way it's worded and just I don't know. I was using it as an idea. It's a placeholder right now. There might be better quotes. I kind of wanted something a little more pithy, like I don't know. I can't think of anything, but I couldn't think of anything. Well, actually, that's the problem. I couldn't think of anything, so I thought, well, shit. Let me quote the Johnny Cash song. About the kettle drums beating and the angels singing and all that bullshit, and you know, I thought it would work. I see. I don't know. I think it does work. It's just I don't like the. Well, what happened was I'm using the app, and they have title, and when you click it, it makes it really big. And when it did that, it just made it like really, really big because you have to space it right, so it's because it's lyrics, you have to space it, not just one big long sentence. And by doing that, it just really took up a lot of space, and I didn't really like the way that looked. I think that's mainly what it came down to. But I don't know. I'm gonna keep it in there and see. Maybe there's other options or other quotes or whatever. But I wanted to originally keep everything center left and not have like the titles in the middle. But what I've been doing is, because I was playing around with some of the options, I put all the titles center in the middle and the quotes underneath them, and then everything is off left, like it's supposed to be for the body of the chapter. And the reason I did that is because when I'm scrolling through, it makes it easier to see them. Like, okay, there's a chapter, there's a chapter, there's a chapter, so on and so forth. Which, you can do whatever you want to do with that. Like, if you want to switch it back or keep it the way it is. I don't know how you want to do it. But I'm doing it this way just because, like I said, it's easier for me to thumb through it and get to, like, the next section. Because, like, every time I come back to it, it jumps to the top of the page, which is obnoxious, but whatever. So, again, you can do whatever you want with the format. Another thing, just as I'm thinking of it, a lot of these stories were at the time constructed on multiple different programs. Like, one was Microsoft Word, another was Pages. So the tabs are all completely different. And I'm trying to think. There might be a few other nitpicky little things that are different. Again, like, I know the tabs are different. I tried to keep them like 10 spaces in just because it looked better than the 5. I think you're supposed to go on 5, which is tab, but it looked kind of dopey in the format, so I went 10. So I tried to keep everything 10 spaces in, but again, you're gonna have to deal with that because I don't know page layout and stuff, what would work best for you doing it when you look at it, whatever. That's not on my end because I'm fucking illiterate. Doesn't pay to be fucking high school educated, I'll tell you that much. Clearly it doesn't pay. And for the love of Christ, why do I keep forgetting to put commas in everything? Like, do you have to put a comma before every and? Because it just feels like... Now, there's certain ones where it's like, comma, and, or it's like there's a pause, like, and then and. But then sometimes it's like fire and ice. Like, I don't think you need one before, like fire and ice. No, it's like, so I don't know, man. It's just my own stupidity sometimes. It's like, why is there not a comma there? I don't know. Anyways, Um, Again, I want to add more stories, but the problem is, why add more stories if I don't need to? But again, to me, it feels like if I don't have a, I want this at least 200 pages. I wanted more, like 3, but I want this to be close to at least 200 because it just feels like I'm cheating cheating the situation. It just feels like I'm going lazy on it, and I don't like that. I, I, I really want a 300-page book. I do, maybe 330 even, or even more than the first one. I don't know. It's not going to happen, but it just I don't know. It feels weird to me, like I'm not giving it my all if I don't do this. It feels like I need to really go out of my way to bulk this thing up a little bit more. Because right now it's 160 pages. Now I haven't added the 2 new things. Although to be fair, what I've got written, and I haven't actually read it yet. You're talking less than a page and a half. Okay, so probably by the time I'm done with it currently right now, without adding anything really new, you're talking about 100 and maybe 65 pages. But to be fair, at the end of each chapter, you always skip down to the next page. Once you do that, that might actually bulk it up to closer to 170. Which, I don't know. That just seems very weak to me. But I mean, realistically, I could take those extra 20, 30, even 120 pages that I would use to bulk it up. I could do a whole nother book with that shit. I could have like 7 books instead of like just one big one. So I don't know. It just feels like I'm not doing enough. Like I look at the table of contents, I don't feel like there's enough content there. I don't feel like there's enough, you know, like I don't feel like, I don't know, it's a mixed feeling because, I mean, on one hand, I want certain stories to be in book form. I want them to be readable, and I want them to be available to me specifically, to reread over and over again at a later date. But mostly the reason I do it is just, actually, I don't know why I do it, to be honest with you. Nobody's going to read it, nobody's going to care, but I don't know, there's just something about it. I don't know if it's like a selfish thing where it's like, I don't know, it's like, I did this, because you don't understand, I don't have a lot of moments where I create shit, you know what I'm saying? At least not anything tangible. Like, to actually have a fucking physical book in my hand is really weird to me, because nothing I ever do becomes anything. So, that's, like I said, just weird to me. I'm trying to think, is there anything else I want to talk about? Because again, I'm doing this for myself, so it's like I can remember, and I'm kind of like piecing it all together in my head. And it's easier to talk about and record in case I need to go back and look. And I figure because it's something you're involved in, you may want to hear about it too, kind of a deal. And anybody who clicks on this on YouTube, they probably have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. It technically isn't for them. I mean, really, if somebody's listening to this far into the fucking clip, that's on you, bruh. Okay? That's on you. That ain't my fault. You should have stopped this motherfucker about 20 minutes ago. But, hey, whatever. Will you get out of my face, little dog? I am not your buddy. I'm not your friend. Get away from me. Get away from Daddy. Daddy loves you. Now get away. I know one story I've got to tell. I've got to talk about Lucy. But that's going to be... I found some good stuff for... Dude, book 3 is... I'm very impressed with... Now, I haven't compiled any of that shit yet. I haven't done anything of that sort. But the amount of content that I have for book 3 is, like... I'd say it's at least 65-70% done. I just got to put it together and then read through it all again. But as far as like layout and stuff like that, once I get that done, that one's not, I mean, that one I probably would do about 150 pages. Okay, I don't know, it depends. I'd like to do close to 2, but who fucking cares? I mean, seriously, by the time you're talking like 3 and then possibly 4, like, who gives a shit, But Yeah, I definitely got some good stuff. I really think there's some good quality shit there. I mean, there's holiday stories. There's, the day Graham withheld funds from Dale T, wouldn't give him any 50s for a holiday. There, there's there's those stories. There's I got multiple holiday stories, at least three, um, at least that I have in on this tablet here. I mean, I got other stuff somewhere. I'm gonna have to look through and make sure I got everything because I want to, like I said, I want to try to find a couple filler stories because I just feel it needs to be a little bit more. But sadly, the two that I found that I really want to put into this book are like a page and a half. So, uh, anyways, um, I gotta, I basically have to see what I have and then compile it all. Now, I think I've got most everything on here. I think it's just, you know, it's just all over the place. Like I had folders for book 3, I had folders for book 4. There's stuff from the original book. Um, there's stuff from book 2, and then there's takeouts that I took from book 2, like stuff I just didn't want to put in book 2. Um, so I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. Now, I'm not saying it's all good quality stuff, and probably some of the stuff that was taken out for a reason. But well, basically what happened was I went through Dropbox, and I ended up finding like 4 stories that I had written that I didn't even realize I had. One of which was the septic tank story. And I remember writing that. I just got on the mood to write about it. So going back and finding it's really kind of fun going through all that stuff. I mean, again, not that this is going to amount to anything, but it's just like I said, it was fun going through all that shit. I wish I had more, man. I really wish I had written more. Like I haven't really written anything in a while. I've been doing a lot of clips, so I have to go back through and transcribe a lot of shit. There's that stuff. I mean, I could do an entire book just on shit that I spoke. I could transcribe an entire 5 or 6 books just based on the last 6 months of shit that I've written. I've spoken word bullshit. Okay, that doesn't include all the countless other bullshit. Now, granted, not all the clips were made equal. Obviously, some of the older stuff was a little sketchy, but it is what it is. But yeah, like I said, I'm having fun with this shit. I mean, it's hurting me because I've been laying in bed for like, I do it. What time is it now? Holy shit, it's like 4 o'clock. I've been in bed all day with the tablet doing this shit. So like my back is all fucked up, my legs are all fucked up. I need to get up and like walk around and get some dinner. But I want to do more. I want to do more, but this fucking battery, this goddamn battery, I swear to Christ. Anyways, I'm gonna end for now, but like I said, I got the prologue, I got the ender, and then I got the it's a part 1 ender and then a part 2 ender, or yeah, part 2 beginning of the next one as a prologue. It's just, I like the way like my mind is working right now. It's like I don't have a lot of moments where my mind is like, hey, guess what, fucker, I'm still here. You know what I mean? Mostly it's like, like I'm banging my fucking head against the wall until I see blood. Whatever. But again, it's just like I'm like, this could go here, this could work with that. You put this here. Now again, not that everybody's even going to notice half of the stuff that I'm doing. I don't even think you'll pick up on half of the stuff that I'm doing. But it's just little things where it's like I'm saying this one particular line. Now, granted, I admit the one line is kind of potentially racist. The fucking Jew bitch. But it was said in a certain way in a certain topic that there was a kind of a little rant that went on, and it was referring to something else, but it was in part of the thing, and it made sense in the context of the rant made sense where it was. It was just really, really fucking great, I thought. No, I'm not really into like using racial slurs necessarily, but it worked out in the sense that, well, she is a fucking bitch. She happens to be Jewish and she's a fucking bitch. So it kind of worked out. Not that I would refer to everyone like that, although it probably could apply on multiple levels, but hey, I'm just, I'm not Donald Trump or anything, but you know what I mean. So it's just, hey, you want to be a fucking bitch to me? Fuck you. I'll call your ass out on that shit. I don't care who you are. I don't care what religion you are.